Volunteers from the Wiscasset Waterville and Farmington Railroad Museum met with Wiscasset town officials in 2011. The museum was invited to build a prominent display on the waterfront that was being revitalized next to Route 1. The WW&F team decided to build a replica of refrigerator car number 65, once used in Wiscasset by the Turner Center Dairying Association. During the winter of 2011, trees were cut along the WW&F right-of-way. Local lumber dealers processed the wood, which was then used to build the car. The plan is to exhibit the refrigerator car in Wiscasset during the tourist season and bring it back to the museum during the off-season. Before the new refrigerator car was delivered to Wiscasset, it was run on the WW&F Railway's 2 miles of track in nearby Alna. Photographers were invited to capture the historic event for newspapers, magazines, and television shows. The refrigerator car was placed in a mixed train with another box car, a flat car, and a passenger car. The purpose was to capture an authentic-looking train as it would have appeared in the late 1800s. The train slows down as it approaches the Alna Center station to pick up milk. In the 1800s, this train would have run on a daily basis, picking up milk from local farmers and delivering it to the Turner Center Creamery in Wiscasset. Empty milk containers were brought back to the dairy farmers on the return trip. Stuart Ryan, a WW&F volunteer, demonstrated for the photographers what the process would look like. Each milk can had two numbers on it. One number was the milepost location on the railroad, and the other was the number assigned to the particular farmer. This replica of the refrigerator car was built to exact specifications and is insulated. The interior shows some of the important features of this specially designed car.
Two more. One big.
The steam locomotive stops to get water before it continues. From inside the refrigerator car, Stuart Ryan talked about the history of the Turner Center Dairying Association and the building of the refrigerator car.
Well, right now we're at All in the Center. It's basically the first day that this car has ever been here. This car is a replica of a car that was built in 1913, a milk car. So it's basically the first narrow gauge wooden milk car built in the state in 99 years. Last fall, this car was pretty much a pile of lumber and parts. In fact, some of it was still trees growing along the right-of-way. And we actually cut some oak from along our right-of-way, had it milled to our specs, and it came back as sills, and of course the doorpost you see here and the belt rail. And then the flooring you're standing on was a white pine that was down there near the shop building. And we used the original 1894 Portland Company plans. And then we adapted the 1913 rebuild that the railroad did in the upper yard in Sheepskin, which included insulating it, changing the doors to plug-style doors because they could be worked easier because you don't use sliding doors on a milk car. The installation of the windows was something that the creamery company requested because for a time there was an agent that worked in here, and it was a lot easier to move cans around and be ready, because each stop they would pick up maybe 5, 6, maybe 20 cans in some places. Well, each can has a number on the shoulder and a number up on the neck. So the number on the shoulder would indicate the milepost. This is a 9, and the 9 indicates that this can was shipped from Head Tide, which was milepost 9. The 7 indicates the farm number, because every farmer had a number for his farm. And the way we understand it is that once a month, the railroad was paid for taking these cars on the train. So Turner Center Association would pay to have this car traveling. So it didn't matter whether they picked up 16 cans or 60. There was a charge paid, and it also included the backhaul to bring the cans back at the end of the day to the local farm stops, each stop. So Turner Center Creamery in Wiscasset was interesting in the respect that on one side it had the narrow gauge where the raw product came in, and on the other side was the standard gauge, Main Central, where the products were shipped out, butter and so forth, and they were shipped to Portland and Boston. We started in October getting pieces together, so and this is June, so it's almost done. We still have to put the tin roof on it, but we figure at this point there's probably over 1,200 man hours in this, and a lot of the parts actually underneath of this, we were fortunate that we had original parts. We found original truck frames from 1894 that were Portland Company that we put on the car. One's an A style frame, the other was the B frame that has the hangers on top for the brake rigging, which we haven't actually totally finished yet, but we hope to soon.
And why is this car out on the train today?
Well, this is pretty much the only day we could run it, and there were a lot of people that have been watching the progress of this car. It was built primarily to be used as an exhibit in Wiscasset on a pier, next to the pier, where the original Turner Center Creamery sat. And once the idea took hold, we got backing from different lumber companies that gave us supplies and so forth. And it really took off, and over the wintertime we put it together. So it was built for the exhibit, but we decided to build it as the original to run on the railroad. And as you can see, it's got a bunch of cars behind it, and the engine's right up here on the head pin.
It's a real freight car.
Yeah, it's a real freight car. It's got real freight car wheels. In fact, the wheels that are on it are originals.
And after today it goes...
Yeah, today we'll load it on the trailer, and it will start its trip down to Wiscasset, and hopefully by tomorrow morning we'll set it out in Wiscasset. And people that come to visit the pier area where Red's Eats and the different vendors are, they will be there to see it.
At the Sheepscott station, the steam engine is uncoupled from the freight train so that it can be used as the engine for the tourists who have come for today's train rides. The small 1968 GE Plymouth switching engine is used to move the cars off the main line. After the tourist train leaves, the Plymouth engine is used to shuttle cars in the yard so that the refrigerator car can be loaded for its trip to Wiscasset. Two-foot narrow-gauge tracks like these were used in the 1800s because they could be built for about half the price of a standard-gauge railroad. The refrigerator car is moved into the siding where it will be loaded onto the flatbed truck for its trip to Wiscasset. Several WW&F volunteers and riggers created the ramp used to load the 13,000-pound car. The Turner Center Creamery, which began operations in Turner, Maine, was at one time the largest commercial creamery in Maine and one of the third largest in New England. By 1901, Turner Center Creamery got its milk from over 30% of Maine's dairy farmers. The creamery had a milk processing plant in Boston and 41 branch offices in New England and Canada. By the early 1900s, the Turner Center Dairying Association marketed nearly 1/4 of all the cream and more than 1/3 of all the butter commercially produced in Maine. In 1917, Turner Center Creamery manufactured the first commercial ice cream in New England. By 1919, as the company continued to grow, the Turner Center Creamery was sending its own rail cars to Boston. In 1919, the company changed its name to Turner Center System. By 1923, the creamery was producing 1 million gallons of milk a year. Association founder Edwin Bradford is credited with the invention of the celebrated Eskimo pie, although many other ice cream manufacturers around the country have made the same claim. In 1929, H.B. Hood & Sons gained control of the family business. In 1932, the Turner Center plant in the town of Turner was sold to the trustees of Levitt Institute and was converted into a gymnasium for the school. A special feature on this day is the rail bus, which was built by Leon Weeks, who then donated it to the museum.
Might bump over. Yeah, maybe we can slow it down before it hits the diesel.
A powerful winch was used to pull the refrigerator car onto the flatbed. The rail bus has a turntable built into it so that it can be turned around to face forward for the return trip. The car and the photographers leave for Wiscasset after the historic initial run of the refrigerator car on the Wiscasset Waterville and Farmington Railway. Early the next morning, before traffic in Wiscasset began moving, the refrigerator car was placed in the location of the old Turner Center Creamery. We hope you've enjoyed reliving part of the history of the Turner Center Creamery on the WW&F. Thank you for watching.